Failure is often viewed as a setback, a mark on our record that we desperately wish to erase. But let me tell you, failure is not the enemy we've been conditioned to believe it is. It is one of the most powerful teachers we will ever encounter in life. When you fall down, you're not broken. You're being molded into something stronger, smarter, and more resilient than before. The truth is, every successful person you admire has faced failure, and many have faced it more than once. But what sets them apart is not that they avoided it, they embraced it. They understood that failure is not something to fear, but something to learn from. It's a sign that you've tried, that you've dared to step outside your comfort zone. And in that risk, in that effort, lies the potential for growth. You've heard the saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but I want you to consider this. What doesn't kill you teaches you. Failure gives you wisdom. It teaches you patience, resilience, and the ability to adapt. It teaches you how to pick yourself up and keep moving, even when the odds seem insurmountable. It shows you how to look at a situation not as a defeat, but as a stepping stone towards success. If you've ever been through something that didn't go the way you planned, whether it was a failed relationship, a missed opportunity, or a business venture that crumbled, you know what it feels like to sit in the darkness of disappointment. But here's the thing, that darkness is only temporary. The lessons you learn in those moments will carry you through every storm in the future. When you fall, you gain experience. You become better equipped for what's coming next, even if you don't realize it yet. Each mistake, each misstep is like a piece of armor that you wear into the next battle. You won't make the same mistake twice because you've learned from it, and now you're stronger, you're smarter. If you avoid failure at all costs, you're missing out on one of the greatest opportunities for growth. If you play it safe all the time, you're never going to reach your full potential. You will stay in a comfortable, controlled space where nothing challenges you. And while that might feel safe, it's also the place where you remain stagnant, where your dreams and ambitions will wither. Failure is a part of the journey, not the end of it. It is in the moments of failure that we discover what we're truly made of. We discover our resilience. We discover our true strength. And more importantly, we discover the determination to get back up, to try again, and to keep moving forward no matter how many times we fall. The only mistake worse than failing is failing to learn from it. When you face failure, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What is this situation teaching me? You'll find that each lesson is like a key that unlocks a new door to possibilities you never thought possible. With each failure, you're one step closer to understanding yourself, your purpose, and your path forward. So don't be afraid to fail. Don't shy away from it. Lean into it. Let failure be your guide and let it shape you into the person you're meant to become. Because it's not the failures themselves that define us, it's how we rise from them. Fear has an incredible power over us. It creeps in quietly, whispering all the reasons why we can't, why we shouldn't, why it's better to stay where we are, and why change is just too risky. Fear is the voice that tries to convince us that we're not good enough, smart enough, strong enough to take the next step. It's the shadow that looms over every decision, every opportunity, and every dream we have. But let me tell you something, fear is nothing more than an illusion. At its core, fear is not a reflection of reality, but a reflection of our insecurities, our doubts, and our assumptions about the unknown. It's a trick of the mind designed to keep us safe, yes, but also to keep us stuck. It tells us to play small, to keep our heads down, to never reach beyond what feels comfortable. But here's the truth. Comfort is the enemy of progress. Growth happens when we step outside of the familiar, when we take risks, when we do the things that scare us the most. Now, I'm not saying you should throw caution to the wind and act recklessly. Fear is not a force we should ignore or dismiss. It's a natural human response to the unknown. But what I am saying is that you should never let fear control you, never let it hold the reins of your life. Fear will always be there, but it's up to you to decide whether you let it drive you or whether you keep moving forward despite it. Think about the moments in your life when you've been afraid to take a chance, when you've been afraid to speak up, or when you've been afraid to pursue something that mattered to you. How many of those moments did you regret later? How many times have you wished you trusted yourself, stepped into the unknown, and just taken that leap? Fear is a thief. It steals your potential, your confidence, and your sense of self-worth. It convinces you that you're not capable, that the risk is too great, that you'll fail before you even start. But here's the thing, failure is not the worst thing that can happen. The worst thing that can happen is that you live your life full of what ifs, wondering what could have been if you had just faced your fear and taken that step. Every single success story, every person who has achieved greatness has faced fear along the way. Fear didn't stop them. They used it. They acknowledged it, but they didn't let it control them. They felt the fear, but they kept moving. They understood that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the ability to act in spite of it. Fear will always try to make you doubt yourself. It will try to convince you that you're not ready, that you're too inexperienced, that you don't have what it takes. But fear lies. The truth is you are ready. You are capable. You have everything you need to succeed already inside of you. You just have to believe in yourself enough to ignore that voice of fear and take action anyway. Think about the opportunities you've passed on, the chances you didn't take, the dreams you didn't chase because fear held you back. Imagine what your life would look like if you had said yes instead of no every time fear knocked at your door. Think about how much more you could have accomplished, how much farther you could have gone if you had chosen to face your fear instead of giving in to it. Fear feeds on hesitation. The longer you wait, the more power it gains over you. But when you face it head on, when you take that first step into the unknown, you strip fear of its power. It's in those moments when you push past the fear and move forward anyway that you discover just how strong you really are. You find the courage within yourself that you didn't even know existed. Remember this, the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the fear that says you can't have it. And the only way to overcome that fear is to take action. When fear comes knocking, don't close the door. Open it, step through it. Embrace the uncertainty because it's in that uncertainty that life truly begins to unfold. Fear may always be a part of you, but it doesn't have to control you. You get to decide whether you let it stop you or whether you use it as fuel to propel you forward. The next time fear tries to hold you back, remind yourself that you are stronger than your fear. You are more than capable of moving through it. And on the other side of that fear is a world of possibilities waiting for you. In a world that constantly tells us how to look, how to behave, and who we should be, there's an ever-present temptation to change ourselves to fit in, to adjust, to conform, to play the part so that we are accepted by those around us. The pressure to be someone we're not, just to be loved, praised, or approved of, is overwhelming at times. But here's the truth. The moment you sacrifice your authentic self for the sake of acceptance is the moment you begin to lose your essence. We all want to be loved, to belong, to feel seen and valued, and that desire for connection is powerful. But when that desire leads us to betray who we really are, it becomes destructive. You begin to wear a mask, and over time that mask becomes so comfortable that you forget who you were underneath it. You start believing the person you've created is the real you, and you lose sight of your true self. Here's the danger in that. When you stop being yourself, you stop attracting the people who truly value you. You may gain acceptance, but it won't be authentic. The relationships you build will be built on a false foundation. They'll be built on the person you think people want you to be, not the person you actually are. And eventually, that inauthenticity will lead to frustration, loneliness, and a sense of emptiness. You are unique, and that uniqueness is your gift to the world. The very things that make you different, the quirks, the passions, the dreams that are uniquely yours, those are the things that will attract the people who are meant to be in your life. The moment you begin to compromise on those things for the sake of fitting in, you start to build walls between yourself and the people who could truly understand you, who could truly appreciate the real you. It's easy to get caught up in the fear of rejection, especially when the world around you seems to be telling you that you need to look a certain way, act a certain way, or be a certain way to be worthy of love or success. But the truth is, the world needs you just as you are. There's no one else who can bring what you bring, and no one else who can contribute to the world in the way that you can. When you start sacrificing your authenticity for acceptance, you stop growing. You start shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's mold. You stop expressing your true thoughts, feelings, and ideas. You stop doing what sets your soul on fire. And instead, you start living in a way that pleases others, not yourself. And let me tell you, no amount of external validation can replace the internal peace that comes from knowing you are true to yourself. In the pursuit of acceptance, we sometimes forget that the people who matter most will love us not for the mask we wear, but for who we really are. Those who truly matter in your life are the ones who appreciate you for your authenticity, your vulnerability, and your realness. They'll see the beauty in your flaws, the strength in your struggles, and the light in your uniqueness. When you stop trying to be what others want you to be, you make room for those who will celebrate you for who you are. The journey to self-acceptance is not an easy one. It requires courage, the courage to stand up and say, "This is me, take it or leave it." It requires the strength to walk away from relationships, situations, and places that no longer align with your authentic self. It requires the wisdom to understand that no one's approval, no matter how much you may want it, is more important than your own self-respect and peace of mind. You have a purpose that is yours and yours alone. You have talents, ideas, and dreams that are uniquely yours. Don't shrink them down or hide them because you think they won't be accepted. Don't silence your voice or diminish your value to make others feel comfortable. The world doesn't need more copies. It needs you, the original, the authentic you. Remember, the people who truly belong in your life will accept you for who you are. They'll love you not because you're pretending to be someone else, but because you're showing up as the full, unfiltered version of yourself. So never compromise who you are for the sake of fitting in, because in the end, the only person you need to accept you is yourself. Regret is a heavy burden to carry, one that weighs on your shoulders long after the moment has passed. It keeps you tied to the past, reliving choices, actions, or inactions, and wishing you had done things differently. We've all been there. Wondering what life might have been like if we'd made a different decision, taken a different path, or spoken up when we had the chance. Regret tells us that we've missed out on something, that we've made mistakes we can never undo. But here's the truth. Living in regret only steals your peace and hinders your growth. Regret has a way of convincing us that we can turn back time, that we can change what's already been done. But the reality is we cannot change the past. No matter how much we wish we could rewrite history, we are left with what has already happened. The more we cling to regret, the more we allow it to define us, to dictate our emotional state, and to control our actions in the present. Instead of moving forward, we are trapped in the cycle of what could have been, which only robs us of our ability to create the future we want. One of the greatest mistakes we make is allowing regret to take up space in our hearts and minds. It's easy to get lost in the if only thoughts, to ruminate on the things we wish we had done differently. But living in regret doesn't change anything. It doesn't undo the past or correct the choices we regret. It only keeps us stuck, holding on to what can never be changed. It's important to understand that every decision, every mistake, and every misstep is part of your journey. Regret makes us believe that our mistakes are failures, but in reality, they are just lessons in disguise. Each regret holds within it the potential for growth and learning. You've heard it before. We don't grow in comfort. We grow in adversity. The times when we've fallen short, when things haven't gone as planned, are the very times that shape us, teach us, and prepare us for the next chapter of our lives. Letting go of regret is not about pretending the past didn't happen or pretending you don't feel the weight of your choices. It's about acknowledging that what has happened, and you are not defined by it. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are a person who learns, who evolves, who grows. The beauty of life is that it's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about using the past as a stepping stone to the future. Instead of carrying regret, choose to embrace what you've learned from it. Every experience, good or bad, teaches you something. Regret may make you wish for a different outcome, but don't let it paralyze you. Instead, use it as fuel to move forward with greater wisdom, greater clarity, and greater strength. Regret tells you what didn't work, but it doesn't have to stop you from trying again, from making new choices, from taking new risks. When you let go of regret, you free yourself to live in the present. You stop living in the shadow of the past and start living in the light of now. You recognize that your value is not determined by what you've done or failed to do in the past. Your worth is intrinsic and is determined by who you are today and who you are becoming. The only thing that truly matters is what you do with the lessons you've learned and how you move forward. So stop carrying the weight of regret. Set it down, breathe, and release it. Every step you take in the present is an opportunity to create something new, something better. The past is behind you, but the future is full of possibilities. Let go of what you cannot change and step boldly into what you can. In the fast-paced world we live in, it's easy to get caught up in the hustle, chasing success, managing responsibilities, and trying to make a name for ourselves. We often put our energy into work, ambitions, or personal goals, thinking that these things will bring us happiness and fulfillment. But in the process, we sometimes neglect the very thing that brings us the deepest joy and meaning, our relationships with others. The truth is, relationships are the foundation of a fulfilling life. Whether it's with family, friends, mentors, or even romantic partners, these connections nourish our souls in a way that no career achievement or material possession ever can. They provide us with love, support, and encouragement during our highs and our lows. They remind us that we are not alone in this journey and that we have people who genuinely care for us. Yet, it's easy to take them for granted, especially when life gets busy. We often convince ourselves that we will have time for our loved ones later. We tell ourselves that once we've accomplished this or reached that, we'll finally slow down and give them the attention they deserve. But the reality is, time waits for no one. It's a limited resource. And when we choose to neglect the people in our lives for too long, we risk losing the very connections that make life worth living. When you neglect relationships, you begin to feel isolated, even if you're surrounded by people. Over time, a lack of emotional intimacy creates distance. People start to feel unseen, unheard, or unimportant. They begin to question if they matter to you, and slowly that connection starts to fade. The tragedy is that many of us only realize this when it's too late, when the people we once loved have drifted away, or when we've lost the chance to repair the bonds that were neglected. Relationships take effort, they take time, energy, and intentionality. They require you to show up, to listen, and to be present. The demands of life will always be there, but so will the people who love and support you if you make the effort to prioritize them. Neglecting relationships doesn't just harm the other person, it harms you as well. It leaves you feeling disconnected from love, from support, and from the meaningful connections that make life rich. True success is not just about what you achieve professionally or how much money you make. It's about the people you share your life with, the moments you celebrate together, the memories you create, the laughter, the tears, the growth you experience as a result of your relationships. These are the things that matter most in the long run. When you're chasing after your dreams, remember that you don't have to do it alone. Your relationships are not distractions. They are the ones who will cheer you on, hold you accountable, and help you keep going when times get tough. They are the ones who will remind you of your worth when you forget it, and the ones who will pick you up when you fall. The people in your life are the ones who make the hard times easier to bear and the good times even sweeter. Don't let the pursuit of success or personal goals come at the cost of the relationships that bring meaning to your life. Invest in your people, show them that they matter, spend time with them, appreciate them, let them know that they are a priority, because in the end, relationships are what truly make life meaningful. It's easy to look around and point fingers when things aren't going the way we want. We blame our circumstances, our upbringing, the people around us, or even luck. The truth is, it's much harder to look in the mirror and take ownership of our own actions, choices, and outcomes. But here's the truth. Refusing to take responsibility for your life is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. It's a trap that keeps you stuck, prevents growth, and strips you of your power. When you refuse to take responsibility, you give away control of your life. You let others dictate your future, your happiness, and your success. You become a passenger in your own life, letting external circumstances determine your path. And when you do this, you are giving up the ability to change anything. If you're not responsible for your choices, then you can't change anything about your situation. You remain powerless. Taking responsibility is not about blaming yourself for everything that goes wrong. It's about recognizing that you are the author of your own story. You have the power to decide how you respond to challenges, how you handle setbacks, and how you move forward. When you take responsibility, you acknowledge that your actions, both good and bad, contribute to where you are right now, and that is liberating. Because once you recognize that, you realize that you have the power to change it. When you refuse to take responsibility, you place the blame elsewhere. And in doing so, you relinquish the opportunity for growth. By blaming others, you give up the chance to learn from your mistakes and improve. Every failure is an opportunity for growth. But you can only learn from it if you take responsibility for the part you played. Without accountability, you're simply moving through life reacting to things rather than actively shaping your destiny. Taking responsibility for your life means recognizing that you control your actions, your decisions, and your future. It's acknowledging that you have the power to make choices, take risks, and step into the unknown, knowing that you can handle the consequences, whatever they may be. It's not always easy, and it's not always comfortable, but it is always empowering. When you take responsibility, you take back control over your life, your dreams, and your happiness. Refusing to take responsibility is a form of denial. It's a way of avoiding uncomfortable truths about yourself. It's easier to blame the world than to face the hard work of changing yourself. But that's where the real transformation happens. You can't change what you refuse to own. You can't heal what you don't acknowledge. So take responsibility for your life, not just the successes, but the failures too. Because in doing so, you unlock the power to shape your future.